Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for October 7th, 2013. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I apologize for our late start. I am to blame. So we have the warrant to be signed. Great. And no minutes to approve. For new business, I'm actually had a request to jump to this one. We're going to go to the request by the Knights of Columbus for a fundraising sale.
Mr. Chairman.
I haven't seen you in that chair forever.
A week?
2 weeks. How are you?
One of the other hats, fine, thank you, and yourselves.
Good.
Members of the board, one of the other hats that I wear in town is I'm the Grand Knight for the Francis Meter Council of Knights of Columbus, Georgetown, Raleigh, Bowen, Byfield. And we have our annual Tootsie Roll Drive, which all the money that we take in goes to the state charity account, which is used for people of all denominations, colors, creeds. And we're asking permission for my brother knights and myself to try and sell them at the two main intersections in town, one right down here on Library Street and the other one in the center of town. I did meet with Chief Cudmore,
Okay.
and he gave us his blessing. We're going to be doing it from 8 a.m. till 12 noon this Saturday.
8 a.m. to 12. So one day, 8 to 12?
Yes, and his blessing was subject to yours,
Right.
but of course.
Okay. I'll open it up to questions or discussion from the board.
None here?
I'm looking forward to Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah.
If the members would stop eating them, we'll have fun.
That's right. Okay, so I will entertain a motion. What is actually the specific motion that we want to?
Just to allow them to hold a fundraiser on public property.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the request from the Knights of Columbus to fundraise on town property this Saturday between 8 and 12 to sell Tootsie Rolls.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Gentlemen,
Unanimous.
thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put a couple of Tootsie Rolls.
Right before Halloween.
There you
right?
go. Big time.
I need more candy.
Okay.
You staying? Couple minutes.
So now our next new business is a historical society presentation.
Okay,
Come on up.
Ed Desjardins. I'm a director over at the Historical Society and also a member of the Georgetown Historical Commission. And I guess you could call me a historical buff. I kind of like old buildings, and we've done, thanks to CPC funding, we're able to do a lot of surveys in town. Like the last thing we completed was the 90 buildings smack in the center of town. We've done Elm Street already. These are available, incidentally, for anyone who's interested in the information. They're at the library. We have copies, and you're welcome to make copies of your home or whatever they are. I think they charge some token fee or something, a nickel or a dime or something for a sheet.
So these are historical surveys of the
Existing
history
of the property. You got
and some color to those.
Yeah,
property
and they've
owners.
gone back into the history. Some of them have 6 or 7 pages of research where they've gone back into the records. These are professionals that were hired, recommended by the Mass Historic Commission, and they do a good job. And then one of our other recent projects is actually 2 projects. Harry Murch Park, we brought back to life. And the other is the Union Cemetery. So the stones had not much had been done since 1732 when the cemetery was founded. So we've straightened a lot out and restored and propped those up. And that was, again, through CPC funding, which is nice. Thank God it's still there to help the community in this historic adventure.
And the Civil War monument is growing
And the
grass
Civil
right
War
now.
monument is, that's underway. I think thanks to the Highway Department. Peter Durkee has done an outstanding job there. In fact, he did better than the estimate on Harry Murch Park by many thousands. He was able to get that done with volunteers and other folks who contributed equipment and stuff to help him there. So that's,
He does have a way of doing that.
yeah,
On a
he
regular
does.
basis.
Nice guy. However, tonight, we're going to be talking a little bit about Old Nancy, the gun carriage. I want to give you a brief history, but for the folks either in the audience or those watching on TV that may not be aware of Old Nancy, she goes into hiding every so many years, and over the decades, I think we had 235 years, this debate has been going on between Georgetown and Raleigh as who owns the real Old Nancy. Before we proceed, maybe I can take a few minutes and give you just a brief history on what Old Nancy's all about.
That's great.
The cannon was actually captured in November of 1775 from the British munitions ship Nancy. It was left on the dock in Gloucester. Was guarded by Rowley militia when the rest of the munitions were sent to Washington's army in Cambridge. So it has a great history to it. The capture of the ship Nancy was one of the most significant captures of munitions for the American rebel army at the outbreak of the Revolution. So it's a lot of history. Captain Benjamin Adams of the Rowley militia, who lived in the West Parish, which is now Georgetown, is reputed to have captured a British cannon. Major Eben Boynton of Rowley is said to have purchased the gun from the Gloucester docks. Having made no provisions in his will, and this is interesting, for the disposition of after his death, it became the object of contention between two sons, one of whom lived in Rowley's East Parish and the other one in the West Parish, which became Georgetown in 1838. Hence the rivalry by each town over the cannon's Old Nancy's ownership for the last 235 years, or since 1775. So, long history. Georgetown has some great historic buildings, as you guys are aware. Next step, as a Georgetown resident in the 1970s, and as past president of the Georgetown Historical Society and the Historical Commission, Bud Spaulding had asked me to do the necessary historic research and documentation, which I did at the Harvard University Fogg Art Museum Library and the Widener Library, to produce a construction drawing, which you see here on the left. Okay, so that was produced. The drawing is dated 1974, which is roughly almost 40 years ago now. That was a replica of the gun carriage used on the British ship Nancy during the American Revolution. This would allow them, Bud and his brother, 2 years to actually complete the reproduction of the gun carriage so that it could be ready for the nation's bicentennial in 1976. I originally donated these two framed drawings, one of the Old Nancy cannon, very detailed drawings of that, and the other one from the gun carriage itself. I donated those to the Georgetown Historical Society on January 28th in 2002, about 13 years ago. But with their limited space for displaying them, the board at the Historical Society felt that it would be best displayed here, probably at the town hall somewhere where it's close to Old Nancy. Anyway. So they voted recently to make this information available to be viewed by town residents in closer proximity to our canon here, Old Nancy, here at the town hall. As far as where it might be, I bounced a couple ideas off the town administrator, and I will do the same with you folks. I think if it were in the basement, it's kind of out of the way and the public doesn't really see it. It's tucked away. It used to be on the very first floor of the building years ago, and it was a nice display. When they had the building refurbished, they had to put in a couple stairwells which are enclosed. They had to put in the elevator, and all these things apparently squeezed old Nancy out, so she ended up in the basement. Like I said, I think we can decide it in the future, or maybe I'll sit down with you guys, or maybe Mike. As far as the entrance, maybe on the first floor, possibly a meeting room, or maybe even in this room here, if we can get some wall space and just tack it up. It'd be nice to keep that in mind as it's a part of Georgetown's history. Bud and Art Spalding of Spalding Colonial Reproductions in Georgetown produced the gun carriage that we see today. We're pleased to have our former fire chief, by the way. Bud was a fire chief from 1990 to 1994, and he's a good, hearty 86 years old, so keep hanging in there, babe. The gun carriage, and that was some 40 years ago, and both Bud and I are pleased to have been a part of Georgetown's local history and Old Nancy. I'd like to have the following people stand up and be recognized if I could. And Bud, you're certainly one of them, if we can get you to stand. Good. Okay. Chris Comiskey, unfortunately, is ill tonight. She called the last moment and could not make the meeting. She's a key person in bringing this before the board of directors and seeing that we voted to have it donated to the town. George Perkins, I don't think is here. He's the Historical Commission chairman. Rick Detwiller, I don't know if Rick is, there he is. Why don't you have a seat here? Rick is a preservation architect, and he did a good deal of the historic research, and we've, Lord knows if you've seen the paper the last few days between the articles in the Boston Globe, the Newburyport Daily News, and the other one, I guess, is in Lawrence Eagle Tribune. And I'm sure the gentleman is going to take care of us when it comes to doing the Georgetown record as well. So the exposure's been good, and it's good for the town and good for both the Historical Society and the commission. Now, at that point, Chris was supposed to present as president of the Georgetown Historical Society. I will fill her shoes tonight to do the honor of presenting these two documents to the Board of Selectmen. So, what you have here, well, if I can have a round of applause for these guys.
I had one thing about Ed's drawings and the installation of the cannon and Mr. Spalding's work on the carriage and everything for the gun. It is an amazing installation. It's as good as anything in any museum, and I'm a preservationist, so
Good.
The history of the cannon and the installation is equal to it. It's really extraordinary.
Yeah, Joe, that proves Georgetown has it.
And I just last week found the 1878 news article, or actually Essex County History, that tells you that Georgetown has the real one.
Oh, they do, definitely.
Yes.
This man will swear to it.
The Topsfield one was bought down in Topsfield
Oh,
and
really?
sold to them as the real old Nancy.
Oh,
Yeah, that
so
was
that's it.
a Civil War field piece by the
Oh,
looks of
really?
it.
Yeah, we don't have that. We have a.
They wouldn't fit on a ship.
That's right. It's a ship's cannon here that we got. So having the base and having it associated with the cannon is really nice. Then I did, as I said, a meticulous drawing here of the details of the cannon itself, so that he could use that, and all of this would fit it, and everything would work out well. So, okay, gentlemen, it is now belonging to the town of Georgetown.
Well, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, and more importantly, on behalf of the town, thank you very much
Yeah, you're welcome.
for this generous gift. And I think that what's really great about Georgetown is our history and the people that work hard to preserve it and to share it. And thank you.
You're welcome. So you can take those downstairs and whenever,
We'll find a place of
figure
prominence
out.
for 'em.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
we wanna
glad to
show
sit
those
down
off.
with you guys, but we probably can find
Thank you
a
very much for coming.
spot to use. You are welcome. Okay, guys. Now we can watch the Red Sox.
Does that mean we can go?
What? No one's staying? What?
You guys are all bailing on us? Great job, Ed.
Could I ask about a question, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
Au revoir.
Thank you.
Mr. Spalding, do you remember
I got a big
Georgetown's
memory.
bicentennial? I'm sure you remember William Marshall, Bill Marshall, the superintendent of the water department years ago,
Yeah.
before his brother Ronnie, I believe.
Yeah,
And him and my dad put that in the parade back when we had, I forget exactly which one it was, but, and Dave Peatfield, who later became a superintendent, they dressed up, he was a young man working for the water department.
yeah,
I don't know if you remember that, but they put it on an old carriage.
yeah, yeah.
I remember getting, I think Sam Cheney got it out of the basement, the big hatch where it was, and I was sworn to secrecy because it stayed in my family's barn down off North Street for
Yeah, I know.
a couple of days, and I was sworn to secrecy. Don't
Yeah.
tell anyone the cannon
We
is
have
there.
some guards down there to take
That's the way it was, yeah.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
Yeah.
Because I was appointed one of the guards of it, and back, that was when I was in the fire department, and there were, I think, 5 people that were supposed to be guards of it, and you know, if anyone touched that cannon, we'd be right on them.
A lot of history. Thank you for coming.
Take a quick picture of him next to the.
Absolutely.
course.
Absolutely. Take your time. So Mike, as a follow-up, I don't know if,
You can.
I don't know if locating pictures is a part of our official duty, but this is a really great gift. So maybe we could get a couple suggestions and have the board vote on that. Again, probably not part of our standard piece, but I think this is a pretty neat gift for us, and
pretty
I think we should highlight it again where it goes publicly, so when people are in here, they can see it. Thank you again.
Which way is the way out of here?
Elevator's probably what you want,
It is
Gary.
right there. It's probably the best way.
Good to see you again.
Thank
I
you,
haven't seen
you too.
in,
Is the elevator right
That's
here
in
too?
school probably, or,
yeah,
yeah.
1 year ahead of me, I think.
All right, I guess we could.
Yeah.
So,
leave now.
did we,
Past my
there was gonna be a
bedtime.
request
It is.
from the Historical Society to conduct tours at the Union Cemetery on the 19th and 20th. I don't know if in the excitement, they skipped
Well,
that.
he said Chris. was-
No, Christine can't be here.
I know she couldn't be here. I didn't know if someone was gonna do it on her behalf.
Well,
or-
we have a letter. No, yeah, you just have the letter.
So, we can move forward.
Yeah.
Great.
Operator, here we go.
It's basically the same thing,
Yeah.
Right.
conducting.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we accept the Historical's request for My Halloween Tragedies and Tombstone Tours planned on October 26th and 27th at the Union Cemetery.
And they provide
Mr. Clary, it says
insurance.
the insurance is on the
liability
back.
insurance.
It has 19th and 20th on the agenda. Is that are we going with the date with the letter? Did you just say 20?
Oh, I'm sorry, 26th and 27th. I'm sorry, I was looking at the front part of it.
No,
so-
you're right. I'm just saying,
No.
this says 19, 20th. I just
Oh.
want to clarify which, I'm assuming the letter is right.
I would say the letter's right.
Yeah, they saying the tour is planned.
Was there 2 dates for it?
October 19, 20, I plan on
2
doing a
weekends?
historical tour.
think
My
there's-
Halloween Tragedies tour is planned for October 26 and 27.
Okay, so there's 2 different tours.
So
Yes.
the 19th and
Yeah.
20th, and then the 26th and 27th.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Motion on the table. Motion and a second. Any discussion?
If you haven't done it, it is, especially for
Sounds
us,
really interesting.
there is a lot of former selectmen that have died of tragic deaths that were pointed out in that cemetery. And so I strongly suggest you guys go see it. It's very interesting.
All right.
How easy we have it today versus what happened back then.
Well, I'm motivated now after hearing that. Okay, any other discussion? Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. So we have within correspondence a letter from Steve Epstein regarding the medical marijuana treatment center bylaw, but this is not gonna move forward now at this point because we're not doing the fall town meeting. So, I'll just recognize that, he is writing in opposition to the bylaw. And I'll just give you the first line. It is anti-commerce directed at labor-intensive business that will create jobs and in good faith will be good neighbors. But again, this is actually addressed to the planning board specifically. I assume we were copied on it.
Yes.
I do want to acknowledge that it was received, and I suspect this spring will come to bear again in discussion, assuming that the planning board brings something forward. Anyone want to add anything to that, or any questions?
Nope,
Okay.
we got it, we read it.
Great. Okay. Conservation restriction, Wheelerbrook Farm. Hello, Steve.
Hey folks, how are you tonight?
Aye.
Hi, Steve.
Very good.
Can I grab that restriction? I'll do that, don't worry. I'm here tonight to ask the selectmen to sign the conservation restriction, so actually voting to approve and accept the conservation restriction on Wheelerbrook Farm. This has been through all the state agencies, town council, it's been signed by the landowner, by the Conservation Commission. You guys are the last step.
Okay, questions from the board?
If I may,
Sure.
I believe it was approved for 150, and that was to include the cost, but I'm not sure where on here I'm seeing the amount. Is it?
The total amount town funded is $150,000.
Correct, yes.
Part of it's cash from CPC, part of it's bonded through CPC.
So I see there's two amounts for $75,000 apiece. Is that the two of them on,
What page are you on?
well, page 1 of the notice of grant and agreement award? And most of the rest of them were somewhat blank, so I didn't know if they were filled in on the one we're gonna sign.
The one you are going to sign, I have to apologize also. Vanessa from Johnson from Greenbelt was supposed to be here tonight.
Yes.
Had the real specifics, so I can do my best to answer your question. Page 1.
I see the last page is 75.
Yeah, 75 keeps coming up, but I'm not seeing so, but as he mentioned, I think it could be in two different amounts, because some of it, I believe, was bonded. I don't know, do you have the answer, perhaps, Mike? Or-
I also don't think I have the document in front of me that you're looking at, if you don't mind if I just. Okay. That.
I know there was matching money.
Yeah,
I guess
what I'm guessing that is, so the project is, we're splitting up who's funding the project. Town, half of it's town funded, half of it is Greenbelt funded. How they come up with their money is kind of up to them. They're applying to some grants. So I have a feeling that money is a grant that they got to put money towards this project. So they don't have much cash to put on the table themselves, so they go through grants to get most of their money. So not knowing Greenbelt's finances and where they came up with the money, the best I can come up with is that is probably part of the funding they got. It's about 150.
I guess what I'm saying, I'm just trying to figure out on all of this, it's a substantial amount of paperwork, where it has Georgetown's share in what we're signing for, because this was also included a loan, correct? if I remember correct.
The restriction doesn't deal with the funding sources. It doesn't deal with where towns
I'll
come in.
say, so what
You know,
you're
we-
saying is we're signing the restriction?
This is just the restriction saying that the town is purchasing pretty much the building rights for this property. This does not deal with where all the money's coming from. It's, for example, the agreement could have been that we're gonna buy it for $2 or for $150,000. The conservation restriction is the legal document that's held in perpetuity, signed by all parties. It doesn't deal with money per se.
But I've got something here with money on it.
Correct. Again, but
Okay.
the meat of the document is the legal document restricting what they can use the property for. The first page
So
has
basically
the total.
It says the
price.
total funding, federal and non-federal, and we're part of that non-federal, but
Correct.
to Gary's question, it doesn't say what part of that non-federal are we?
Okay.
Now, we have an amount that was approved at town meeting
Well, I
specifically, so.
I guess we've got two different agreements in front of us for one thing, because they've got one that is page 1 through, I guess there's 4 pages, and then another one that starts on page 1, so I
I mean,
guess.
the first page of the conservation restriction, the total purchase price is $250,000. The town share is $150,000. NRCS reimbursement $75,000. And then I believe there's a $50,000 tax advantage to the landowner, bringing them up to their total value.
Now can I see what you have, because
Yep.
I'm not seeing that one.
This is the conservation restriction. That's the original that I'm hoping you guys can sign tonight.
Okay, so that's basically, this isn't what we have here.
I've forwarded the conservation restriction in that form multiple times to the selectmen, presuming you guys have seen this in the past.
We've seen it.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily think that was a document that we needed to look at this evening. That's why I haven't printed it out here. I thought this was the document that we'd be reviewing, which I reviewed. That's all.
Can I ask another question, Mr.
Sure,
Chair?
sure, go
As to the document, then, one that I've got here on page 9, and it's got a lot of restrictions and that, but it didn't, question is,
This is the one.
I'd be happy with a yes. Could they put up solar or wind if they needed to? Because I know many of these restrictions in the past restrict a lot of things of that sort, so.
My understanding is that it could not be turned into a commercial wind farm
Okay.
or, thousands of windmills or thousands of solar panels. It's allowed to run it in a renewable sense, so enough to run putting a couple solar panels on the barn roof to run the fence for the livestock or
Yeah.
to run the greenhouse, stuff like that, but no large scale, it's not being allowed.
Many farms now are putting up
Correct,
things of different,
correct.
so, and
There's more money in making electricity and leasing it to someone than there is in carrots and broccoli and stuff like that. So this does not allow for that to happen.
Okay, but they could if they had it for on-farm use.
Yep, small scale,
Okay,
for personal use, they can't lease the land to a solar panel
yeah,
company.
that's understandable.
So am I clear on this? We agreed to funding $115,000 at a town meeting,
150.
150.
150. And we're not sure where in this document or that document it outlines our share of the
Well,
$400,000 or.
the 300, again,
325 less the
the
$75,000 grant? That's
Yep.
all?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's still 250. if we're
yeah,
doing
the
math.
total purchase price is $250,000.
Right. Yep.
150 the town, 75 from Greenbelt. Where they come up with their money, I don't really get involved in their funding.
Yeah, I don't care about where they're coming up with their money. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that we're signing an agreement that is consistent with what the terms were, that's all.
Yep.
And just to clarify again for everyone, who is this agreement between?
At the moment, it is between the town, Greenbelt, and Robert Morehouse.
So it's a
Sitting behind it.
three-way agreement. Okay.
We'll be co-holding the conservation restriction. Greenbelt has agreed to do all the heavy lifting as far as the oversight during the year, writing up the reports and any enforcement. So that's actually a fairly expensive process. Roughly $15,000 is what they charge to oversee a project in perpetuity. So they've agreed to do that, do us for us, which saves a significant amount of money, CPC money.
Any other questions?
Well, I'm still a bit confused as to what we're signing, I think. I see Mike going over it, so I don't know if he can.
Well, I was given this document to include in the packet. It came from Greenbelt, and I thought this was the document you were signing and not this. That's why you didn't get it. I don't recall getting it myself.
Is there any material problem if we don't sign tonight and we delay this for our next meeting?
I do not believe there would be a problem with that. If you're not comfortable signing it, I don't think it's
I'm
gonna.
just concerned we didn't get we didn't get
Of course.
the paper, we're reading
course.
something different.
We're looking at a
and,
different document, it seems.
I mean, it's been properly vetted legally with the town.
Yep. But
I
if the
don't
only
propose there's
caution-
gonna be any issue, but we should be responsible and go through the specific document that we're gonna go through. So Mike, I guess the question is, do you think you have now a document that we're gonna need to review?
Yes.
Okay. And has that document also been reviewed by legal counsel? I know this one has.
Yes, this
Okay.
has. And as Steve stated, it's been signed off by the Conservation Commission, Mr. Morehouse, and Greenbelt. It's at your comfort level whether you sign it tonight or wait till the next meeting. It's been a.
Mr. Morehouse, is there any material issue with you if we wait till our next meeting to do that?
Are you okay with waiting till the next meeting? The document that they have wasn't the same one, I guess.
Well, if that's what you want to do, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the track is with Greenbelt. Johnson's gonna be here in a little while. And I'm not sure, there are some other, perhaps approvals.
Yeah, Vanessa did not, or there was a miscommunication on the actual document that we're signing tonight. We didn't get a copy of it. We got a different document that was sent to us. So we haven't had a chance to review that document, and I think it would be wise for us, to be responsible not to sign something that we haven't had a chance to
The
review.
next meeting is 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. I think in spirit, we're all for it, as you know, we've been, going forward, but,
Well, it seems like the pertinent
yep.
thing to do, but like I say, I'm not sure about the track.
Okay.
But, so Steve, you think
I
we're okay?
believe we're all set as far as the closing date. Right now, I think our holdup is more of the funding issues related to CPC than getting signatures from you guys.
Okay.
So I
And-
do not believe that's a problem to wait 2 weeks.
And Janet, let's put it at the top of the agenda next time, so no one has to wait around. And we'll get it read and get it taken care of.
So Vanessa is not coming in this evening? She can't make it?
She's in Boxford.
She's in Boxford.
Second I step-
She was
She-
coming here.
yeah. So
Okay.
If we're still in session.
the second I leave here, I'm texting her.
If
See you in
I
2
may,
weeks.
Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Do you want to perhaps have Mike or Steve make the copy and we could go into other business, and if she comes, maybe we would have it in front of us and at least feel more comfortable?
Well, the document you're gonna sign is here.
Yeah.
I think the problem is you guys haven't had a chance to read it over
Yeah,
at your
agreed.
leisure. Vanessa being here isn't gonna change that.
I think it would be a
You know.
matter of flipping through it and asking questions and maybe getting it done tonight. Is that what you're proposing, Gary?
That's exactly what I'm proposing.
How big of?
I mean, and
It's
if Mike
substantial.
if Mike is comfortable with it and legal has gone over it.
Well, it's 37 pages.
Oh.
38.
But I mean, a lot of it's the technical, stripping all the rights away is about 10 pages. It's all just, you can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. And then another part of it gives back the rights that you're allowed to use. So,
And honestly, I think this is the first time doing something like this, really, right, of this magnitude.
we've held conservation restrictions on other parcels in town, but we never purchased them.
Right, that's what I
They
mean.
were
So this
kinda
is a
given
little,
to us.
so
So it is a little different.
to just to be responsible, I would suggest we get the right document, take the time to read it. Again, I'm not anticipating any issues from my end, from that per se. It's been vetted, but I just think it's kind of a good policy for us. Some decisions,
Agreed.
we can do more on the fly, but this is a pretty significant one.
And perhaps we could have these figures cleared up too as to
Right.
how the funding
Again,
is going.
Yeah, that doc I'm not as familiar with, so having
Could I
Vanessa
ask
here
you
would be
a question,
helpful.
Steve?
Sure.
Did the town council review this document?
Yes,
They have.
yes.
They signed off on it?
That's what.
Yes, they
Yes, they have. So I think it's just a matter of us being responsible and reading through it and having a chance to read through it. And like I said, on our next meeting, we'll put it top of the agenda. And, again, it's been vetted by the town, vetted by town council, vetted by a whole bunch of people. So not anticipating an issue, but I think it's the right thing to do. So I'll entertain any motions if someone wants to make one, but that's what I would recommend.
I agree.
Alright, sorry for the trip tonight, and we'll get it done next time.
So are we, this statement of work between the Commodity Credit Corporation acting through the Natural Resources Conservation Service and the Essex County Greenbelt Association of Town of Georgetown, the document that we have, is this still something that we need to be,
I think it helps build the big picture of what's going on, but it's not as relevant. It's more of a in my opinion, that's more of the funding documentation
Okay.
versus the conservation restriction, which is really what you're signing, saying this is what we're entering an agreement into.
So the answer is no.
So,
If I can,
Do that.
Steve, do you know what the changes are between that document and the old one?
perfect timing. On that note, I'm going to hold off on answering that question.
Well, they're different documents, though, right?
They are very much.
They're not a revision. They're different documents.
if I may, Mr. Chair, just another idea, and that is perhaps if while everybody is here, I think we're agreed we wanna hold off on signing, but maybe we could do the question period and they wouldn't have to come back, I don't know. Or maybe you'd rather that we go over it then. On the other hand,
But
when I
if
go
it-
over it,
right.
that's when I really get the questions.
What are the odds you won't have a
You will
question?
have
next time? Come on, that's,
We're very slim.
that's right. So I'd rather just do it right once and,
I agree, I just try and.
so, I'm sorry, Vanessa, did Steve just kinda catch you up that,
You haven't had a chance to review the conservation
received it
restriction?
I
different
gave him
document.
this document, the cover letter and your email. And it appears to be a grant document.
Yes.
I didn't have this document to give them.
Okay,
actual
that was what I
CR.
sent last week. Okay. So, well, that's, when is your next meeting?
2 weeks.
21st.
The 21st? If I could bring it back the 21st, that would be fine.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we said we'll put it top of the agenda. We're not anticipating any issues, given all the vetting this has gone through, but
Yeah.
we do wanna be able to at least say, we've read through it before we vote on it.
Yep.
Just to do our due diligence.
Yep. Excellent, that's fine. I'll, make sure you have the right document, and I'll send that to Janet, I guess.
I think we did send me that one this morning. Or I don't know, I got it this morning.
Yeah, that's what I emailed last week when you were out. And then,
So I probably have that one that I could give them.
yeah, yeah.
If you didn't
Yeah.
CC me, then we didn't get it.
Yeah, I thought I forwarded it to you, but maybe that didn't happen. Or,
all right, well, we'll,
But it's okay,
Yep.
it's
Again,
fine,
we'll get it.
yeah. I'm
Sorry for the
just
delay, but
sorry for
we will get it resolved.
wasting your time.
Can I still ask a question about the funding end of it, or is
Sure,
that
go ahead.
really not gonna be, I mean, we got this. I got some paperwork here, and I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, the town approved 150, and I think it was being split, as Steve explained, I think 75 was being borrowed, so I guess, how's the funding gonna fit into what we're signing next week, or is that further down the road?
Well, this paperwork has to do with the grant that we're receiving, so I think you already signed this paperwork, so this doesn't have to do with what the town is receiving, it's just that it's a grant we're receiving, but because it's a federal grant and the town is a co-holder of the conservation restriction, they wanted the town to sign the grant agreement also, so that's been done. the order of things for the town funding side is that this gets signed by the Board of Selectmen, then I send it to the state for their signature, and then it's ready to record, and at the time it's ready to record, that's when we hand the landowner the check. One, however it works, whether it'll be one from Greenbelt and one from the town, or however that'll end up working. So right now we have a deadline from the state to close by November 1st. So that's our hope, is that we'll be all ready to close by then. Of course, on some level it will depend on the state getting it back to me in time, but I expect it'll all work out.
Okay. Good. All right, thank you. And,
Thank you. I
2
apologize for
weeks
the mix-up.
we'll take care of it.
So this is Mike's? Okay.
I started to fill out the notary part of that. You see, you might have to just reprint the notary section.
This is
That
the-
was
this
signed
is
off.
the
That's
original.
not my copy.
No, this one is the original.
No, this
We have the
No,
original.
that one
Oh, you do?
is.
Oh, okay. Do you want
that
to?
was our copy.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, so I can just print you out a new,
Yeah,
I'll just
easy
print
enough.
out a new
I
sheet.
started to fill it out.
Yeah, I'll just print out a new
Okay.
sheet, that's no problem.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See you in a couple weeks.
See you, same bat time, bat channel in a couple weeks.
That's right.
Okay, request from St. Mary's Parish for a one-day liquor license for an Oktoberfest event, October 12th. Tom, you want to come up? Oktoberfest seems to be the rage this year. Everyone's holding them, so we might as well join in.
Well, St. Mary's Church is holding its first annual Oktoberfest Comedy Night, which is coming up this Saturday night.
Great.
It's from 5:30 to probably 10 o'clock. We're looking for a one-day liquor license to serve beer and wine to the public. The Oktoberfest Comedy Night is a fundraiser for a new ministry that St. Mary's Church is starting up, which is called Disciples in Action. The Disciples in Action is going to be going out to our parish to assist and help any resident or any person that needs aid, whether it's by cleaning gutters, cleaning yards, painting rooms, houses, maybe, depending upon the workforce that we get. So we're trying to start up this ministry, and one thing Father Poitras asked us to do is see if we can have some fundraiser, and this is a fundraiser that we're trying to sell tickets for, which are $25 a person, and it's we have comedians coming in from Boston, Johnny Peasy and 3 other comedians, and also we're providing an Oktoberfest dinner from sausages, chicken, sauerkraut, potato salad, and German desserts. So it's going to be held at St. Mary's Church up here in 94 Andover Street. And we'd love to invite you all to purchase a ticket for our time. It'd be a fun night for all in the town of Georgetown. And we'd appreciate this one-day liquor license for the purpose of selling beer and wine.
Great. Mike and Janet, are we all squared up in terms of,
Well, I'm sure we can adjust it, but the letter we received and the license only requested malt beverages only.
Oh, that's different
Well, the letter, I think it said only beer, just said beer.
for beer.
Will serve a German-style dinner that includes beer for those who wish.
Well, there will be beer and wine, so,
Okay.
but, so I just want to, I know that they're looking to have wine and they are looking for beer, so, I don't know I'm sorry for the confusion on that.
We can amend it, right?
I'm amending it right now.
Thank you.
get the all-purpose amender out?
Did you have the times? I-
Give them your
5:30, beginning at 5:30 and probably till 11 o'clock.
5:30 to 11.
Thank you for modifying that.
So after that, are we,
Good to go now.
okay. The police chief, is he in the loop? Do we know?
I don't know if he's been notified at all. Usually on our license, we do have, it's usually on there that the police detail will be required.
Says applicant
Usually-
to contact police department, police detail required.
We'll notify them.
Okay. So, okay.
We can do it pending signature, please.
There is no sign off on this application for the police chief.
No, but there is a detail required,
Yes.
so, as
Well,
long as,
you've had that on all of yours, I guess you could amend it. That's just the same as we used for the last events that we've given out a one-day liquor license. You have always required a police detail.
How many people do you expect to have how many do you hope to have? I guess that's the question.
The more the merrier.
Right.
Of course,
Oh,
but
sounds fun.
our
We might
goal
have
is, of course, to have 200 people there.
200 people.
And right now, we're hoping to sell tickets up to 200 people, and if we can, that's wonderful, because the more we sell, the more we raise for this ministry. So that's why we encourage anybody in Georgetown, if they want to have a nice evening out, if you don't have to go to Boston for a comedy show and a nice meal, to come up to St. Mary's Church.
Okay. You guys have no problem with having to invest in a police detail?
If the town requires it, then that's mandatory, then that's what we need to do.
At 200 people, I would think that we would want that. That's a tight place getting in and out with 200 people, as you know,
Right.
from services. especially
Whatever is
after a few
necessary
cocktails.
that you ask us to do, we'll provide.
I think it's a good practice when we do the one-day liquor license. You know, unless it was super small, but this is a
Yeah.
potentially significant size.
And what was the time?
5:30 to 11.
Okay?
Well, the question is, where it's 5:30 to 11, this is one dinner, or are you expecting people coming and going on a different basis?
No, the meal will start from, at 5:30, people will come from Mass downstairs. Dinner should be served probably from 6 to 7, and then entertainment probably 7 to 10. I say 11 just for the sake of cleanup, from 10 to 11. That's why I put the hours there, just to make sure we have sufficient hours to cover it. But no, it's not gonna be open door. You can eat all till 11 o'clock. It's just, we're gonna be serving from probably 6 to 7, and then the entertainment begins at 7 o'clock.
We usually mention tip certified, is that on the license? I didn't.
We have, I believe our parish is certified with any tip, any kind of serving or any, so we do have that throughout the parish for any function we've had.
I guess if I may continue, Mr. Chair.
Mhm.
So at this point, you really don't have an idea how many are coming?
We could have 60 or we could have 200.
Yeah.
So right now, we hope to have 200, but right now, you know, depending on what the numbers come in on Thursday or Friday, I can give you an actual amount, but right now, it's pending on that.
Just as usual, I'm figuring that you're putting out a good amount of money for the comedians
That's correct.
to come, and I'm just wondering if they end up with a low amount and we have a police detail, they may end up making nothing. So that's, you know.
This is a
but
church. I'm not worried about the cost of it because we've made a contract with the comedians and they'll be paid whether we have 10 people or whether we have 200 people.
No, I'm just thinking of you doing it as a fundraiser, and I just don't wanna see too much more coming out of you, so what I
Any
mean,
money
I'd
we-
be comfortable being a church in that if we don't require the detail, but that's,
Well, if you like to buy a ticket, I have tickets for you too.
okay.
Okay.
I'll open up the floor, just, to me, where the detail makes sense, again, because I don't want to incur additional cost either, just because this is a non-standard event for them. And I know they have parking lot flow, but not, this is gonna be a little different.
Yeah.
And, where there's alcohol involved, it's on a busy street, at night, I just, for me, it's being overcautious, but I'm just a little more comfortable doing that.
Well, I know, I believe on, like, the library, we haven't required it. I know at the, concerts, we've not been requiring it.
The library's always had.
Library has
always
one
had
every
a
year.
police
Library
detail.
I thought the concerts had them too.
Concerts?
No,
Oh.
We're in the park?
yeah.
When we do the
It
one-day
says
liquor
that one
license, I
day.
thought they did. No, I could be wrong.
It's that one day, right?
If
That
this is a
one day.
standard practice, then I can accept that, but if it's something we're
No,
altering, that's the only thing I get concerned because of the cost of the detail. And
Right.
if it's something, if that's your wish, then fine,
It is standard, it's standard part of our language that we have in there, correct?
Okay.
That
Yes.
there's a detail included.
Right.
but to Gary's point, we always try and weigh that we're not doing overkill in any situation.
That's right.
But it's just, in this one, it's hard to predict how many people are gonna be there. That's my only opinion, so if someone wants to make a motion to remove that requirement, I'll open the floor.
I think my gut feeling would be is we'll have probably 100 people. Because of the way ticket sales are going now, we had one a couple of years ago with the Knights of Columbus over in Raleigh, and we had 200 at that time, but that was a Irish night, and it wasn't on a holiday weekend. So that's why right now, because of the ticket sale, if we have 100, we're very fortunate.
Yeah, if we had 100 in any other venue, I'd still want to have a police detail, especially if it's a Saturday night.
Sure.
And getting off onto Andover Street. It may not be an issue, and it probably won't be an issue, but I think it makes sense.
Okay.
Just to stay consistent with what we've probably done in the past. So
Right.
Okay. Yes.
the tip certified. So that is, you're positive you have certificates of tip certified, folks?
Mhm.
Because I think we will want to see that. That's one of our requirements as a board to make sure that
I'll contact, the business manager is out of town, but I'll make sure that we get a copy of the tip certified for the parish down to you,
Okay.
probably tomorrow morning.
Does our license require tip certification? No, okay.
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the request by St. Mary's Church to hold a one-day fundraiser to include a one-day beer and wine license for the hours of 5:30 to 11 p.m. on October 12th, 2013, pending agreement with the police chief for a police detail to be present.
Tips
And
certification.
a verification of tip certification.
Motion, second. Just discussion, so Mike, we can write that on there and sign it tonight as part of the requirement? Or-
I just put in subject to proof of tip certification. It already requires police detail.
Okay. I just want to see if we can sign it tonight and still
Yes,
get that done. Good. Any other discussion?
Is it seconded?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Aye, I think it's great.
Unanimous. So just to repeat, October 12th, 5:30 p.m., St. Mary's. Sounds like a great time. I hope you have a great turnout.
Thank you very
Might
much.
see you there.
How do we get
Appreciate-
tickets?
You can get them at the door, or else you can contact me, and I'll be gladly selling your tickets anytime you wish.
Okay, terrific.
Okay? Thank you very much. I
Word
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you, Janet.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. It sounds like a great mission that you're working on.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Mr. Fowler. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, my daughter asked me if I'm gonna be getting up on roofs with this, this ministry with her. I may hold the ladder up.
Okay, following up with some other old business. Town meeting, October 28th, 2013 is canceled. I leave you guys alone for one meeting, and you cancel the town. Sounds like, again, I wasn't here, it sounds like, pending a legal review of the bylaw, for the marijuana bylaw and other reasons that you all made a prudent decision to save a little money and not have an unnecessary meeting, and I'm sure we will pick up that other business in the spring at that time. So, it was in the newspaper, big print, just to say it again, canceled town meeting this fall. We'll see you in the spring. Okay, Pembroke Elementary School General Contractor Approval. This is where I look at you, Mike.
Okay. I did discuss with you the opening of the bids a couple weeks ago for the general contractor. The bid came in $4 million under the estimate for the construction. at 32 million and change. Our estimators had it at 36 million and change. So that was a good thing. The OPM reviewed the contracts, reviewed the bids, and found them acceptable. Contracts were prepared, and the school building committee recommended that the selectmen authorize the chairman to sign the contracts. The contract. I have 3 originals for the board, for the chairman to sign. As has been the practice, the chairman signs all the documents as the CEO of the town.
And this is, I'm sorry, I missed it, is this vetted by our council as well?
Yes.
Or- okay, town
Yeah.
council, okay, good.
This actually was part of the bid documents. We include the final contract in with the bid documents, obviously subject with some blank numbers in it, but the town legal counsel has reviewed the contracts.
Okay. So before discussion, I'll entertain a motion. We will do discussion before we move forward if there is a motion, but entertain a motion.
Can I see the contract so I can figure out what the motion should be?
Just to authorize the chairman to sign the,
Agreement between owner and contractor.
right.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to allow the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to sign on behalf of the Board of Selectmen the agreement between the owner and contractor presented this evening to us.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, okay. Discussion.
The only thing I would say, I mean, obviously, I'm not a contractor, nor do I know anything about architectural engineering or anything like that. So my faith is in my trust is in the good faith of the folks who have vetted through this with Mike, with legal, and with the school committee and the school building committee as well. So I'm looking forward to getting this project going.
Yeah, the good news was this winning bid was like 4 and change or 4 million under what the projected budget was. It was voted on by the board unanimously, and then it just comes to us for final signature. So, you know, sitting on that on the school building committee, you know, we've had lots of debates on lots of things, but this was relatively simple because you had 3 bids, and they basically you have to take the lowest bid, and the lowest bid came in for 4 million under what it was projected to be for the construction. So we were all quite thrilled about that.
It is a qualified bid though, right?
Oh yeah,
It's
they're all
qualified
They're
bid
all
in terms of,
they're all qualified, and I forget the term they use offhand, but yeah, they were all qualified. So we voted on it, and here it is, and trying to sign it, and they were hoping to break some ground in mid-November.
Actually, they might be
Well,
breaking
ceremony.
ground in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but like a ceremony or something, I guess. So.
You're gonna get a gold shovel or something?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Gary, do you have any?
I know that we'd received some correspondence in the past, I believe, of warnings of one particular contractor. Do you know if this?
That was
This
one of
is-
the one of the bids,
Mm-hmm.
but that was not the lowest.
Okay.
That was CTA.
A.
Okay. Without.
And the issue there was really just more of union versus non-union
Mm-hmm.
work, that type of thing.
And I believe our contractor, our team has worked with this contractor in the past, correct? Is that true?
Not that I'm aware of.
I thought they had, but.
Was
neither
it
here nor
Bright?
there.
Great Builders
Great,
Corp.
right?
out of Marshfield, Mass. I don't know that they've had any work with them recently anyway.
Okay. Other comments or questions? All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yay.
3 yes, 1 no. Okay.
There's your heavy paper.
Thank you. So I did want to take a little time tonight. We made a pretty good time to go through the DOR report. I know Dave's not here, but we're on the IT section, I believe. If I remember where we left off last. Luckily, Stu always has his good candy. Carries it with him everywhere. So, and again, maybe we can get through a few of these and kind of get set. Again, this was more about discussion versus deliberation, sharing information, sharing impacts, just talking about it as we try and go through this DOR reports on their impressions and recommendations for our town. So, the first one is to provide Munis training to users. And I believe there's something in motion here, but Mike, I'll leave that, let you talk about where we are on that, if anywhere.
Yes, we actually started this last spring, implementing, some of these suggestions, and we did have Munis come in and meet with financial people in this office and in the school, and it just takes money to implement these things and buy new software packages. I put some money in the budget for that and for additional training. So I think we're right on target for the Munis training.
Okay, good. Anyone, any questions or thoughts on that?
No, the only thought that I have on it is that if we're investing in training, one, I believe in it, and I think it's absolutely, if we're going to take advantage of what's the power of a software package, what's the benefit we're getting out of it? And I think we need to just make sure that that's clear. Not that we have that this evening, but as we go through any of the IT stuff, is what's the some of this is easy. Training's hard sometimes to calculate a return on investment, but maybe it's just adoption of using the program and changing some behaviors is one major aspect of that. So I would just like to see at some point just a quick summary of what you think you got out of the training in terms of the people, what changed, and what do you expect more training to do. Not too detailed, but we can figure that out.
Was one of the motivations that the system really wasn't being utilized to its fullest extent?
That's
And
exactly
so
what it is.
This
yes.
isn't just about training to get better at the system. It wasn't.
Well, weren't you adding capabilities to it?
Well, we wanted
Departments.
to in addition, but it was both.
Yeah.
We needed to train the people on things that we already have.
Right.
And we started that. Now we have to, we have some additional funds in this fiscal year to expand the capabilities and get some of the things that would save a lot of people a lot of time. We do a lot of things manually and we don't have to.
Right, there's 3 or 4 people touching
Yes.
each of these, so, from an ROI perspective, it was, when we were discussing the maintenance side of things in town, that it would be more transparent, cleaner, much more efficient, have less people touching it, free up time where, you have 3 people touching an invoice, right? As well as being able to run reports at the click of a button rather than, Mike, when we're asking something, Mike's running, trying to find, 5 different pieces of information from 5 different department heads to be able to run budget numbers and things like that. And our particular mission at the time was looking at it when we were talking about maintenance, trying to figure out where all the maintenance dollars are, as an example, and, you know, you're pulling from 5, 6, 7 different areas, whereas, you know, it would be pretty simple, if I'm not mistaken, to be able to go in, push a few buttons, run some reports, and be able to retrieve that information much quicker.
That's correct.
So I would like to, if I'm going to continue to support training, which I want to, and the adoption of it, what was, you know, what's the objective of the training? What are you trying to change behavior or get people to do? If they do that, how is that going to help make us more efficient or effective? And what was the outcome? Pretty straightforward stuff. And some of it can't be measured, some of it's qualitative, I get that too, but I think that's important. And if we find that it's a great use of resources, then I would advocate to do even more.
And DUR does delineate a little bit about what their recommendation is based on too, in terms of smoothing the process.
Yep.
But software is a double-edged sword. It can help you greatly if you know it, but if you don't know it, or use it, it's worse than neutral. It can actually make things harder. So, you know, utilizing the system that we've purchased makes sense.
Basically, we've owned a Cadillac product, and we've been using it as a Volkswagen or Chevy.
Yeah. You've never really fully enabled
We've
it.
never, right.
Okay. All right, so this probably goes a little bit hand in hand there, is provide expense and revenue reports electronically rather than printing them out and handing them out manually. Is that similar to the utilizing the system efficiently, or is that something different, Mike?
Well, we give them, the department heads get their reports on a monthly basis, as you do, and the and the finance committee. They get them in Excel spreadsheets. And they're just saying they should be converted to PDFs and send them by email. Well, we just send them Excel spreadsheets by email. So I'm not really seeing where this will improve or change anything.
Okay. And honestly, this doesn't, I mean, especially if we're sending it by Excel now, this doesn't necessarily look like it's of all the recommendations we're going to deal with.
Yeah, so this one's pretty low.
This is I think
Already doing it.
we pass it on to the team, and they use their best judgment on how to be efficient. I don't see this as being a major action item for us. It's my opinion. I'll put it out there.
Good.
Okay. Gary, anything on that, or pretty basic? Grant remote access to Geo TMS application to assessors. Recommended the assessors be granted read-only access to the Geo TMS permitting software application with electronic access. The assessing office can view recent activity posted by the building department and the status of permit prior to scheduling an inspection.
Yeah, this is just an issue of the assessing staff just have to go to training, as do any of the departments, to utilize this permit tracking software that we purchased almost 2 years ago now.
And they have not. had
Not
the
many
training?
departments have taken the training. So,
How, not to be cynical, how extensive can the training need to be to view permits?
well,
I mean,
it
maybe
can't,
it's
well,
complicated, but-
well, the other departments need to get trained so they can actually utilize the permit tracking software.
Okay,
You
to
put their
enter it.
permits in it,
Right.
but it's just to read only, no, it's
Right.
probably, it
Easy.
won't take long.
But I guess, is the information that they would want to see in there, or is part of what you're saying is that that might not be in there because it's not being utilized by the departments?
No, I mean, the assessing department currently just gets the hard copies of the permits. So they have to wait till permitting process is complete and signed off on, instead of, being aware ahead of time that, there's 26
Pending permits.
permits going.
Working their way through the flow.
Yeah, being, in different parts of the process, so.
So to a certain degree, this should be driven by their department saying this will help us out. And if they don't see it's valuable, even if we create the access for anyone and they don't see the value, then they're probably not gonna use it, not saying specific to this group. So I think, as long as they're aware of this recommendation and that this could be done, I mean, I think it's something they should drive if they think it's gonna be valuable to them.
Mr. Chair, question.
Sure.
Mike, are all the departments using it right now, or not so much?
No, only the planning only the building department uses it.
In what capacity?
Oh, they have everything on there.
For electrical, for everything?
Yes.
Building inspections, the whole bit?
Yes, they were the early,
Adopters of
first
it.
adopters.
So what other departments should be using it, in your opinion?
Any department that issues a permit,
Okay.
collects money for it.
Does that include
from
licenses, or is
the-
that different?
No, that's the same.
So dog license?
The town clerk, the planning board, the ZBA, the Conservation Commission, the police department, the fire department,
They're all centralized if they do it, right?
yes.
They're all in one area.
So today, they don't nearly see what the pipeline is of permits coming down at them. But there doesn't sound like there's much of a need if they're not begging for this type of information. So, what's the value of them using the system if they don't need that information to do their job today? Or are they going to each of the other departments and saying, where are you on this permit? Or,
I can't answer that.
because,
I don't know.
okay.
Well, it's a little bit what I said, make them aware that it's available, but if they don't see value, then, one of the challenges that, I was just thinking about this in terms of the overall document, if we did want to make this a policy for everybody, given our structure in the government, it'd probably be hard to do anyway.
Well, there's got to be a business process that makes sense for them to use it, and if there's nothing in that business process that needs for them to even see what's happening, then A, as you said, there's no value in it, right? And B, I wouldn't push it on them if they don't see any value.
Right.
If it helps other departments and maybe not themselves, and there's more value for the whole, then yeah, that's a different story, and I think we just need to dig into that.
But again, I think step one is, have they seen this recommendation, Mike, do you know?
Yes, they have.
And did they have an opinion?
Um,
Like, did they say like, that's nice?
There was no opinion.
Okay, all right. Again, I think there's a lot of recommendations in here, some of different size. I think sharing something with the department sometimes is a good outcome, making them aware of it. It's not necessarily something that we're gonna police. And I'm not saying this is or isn't at this point, but I think when we go back and categorize stuff, that's part of what we have to decide.
Well, I'd like to see on this, because Mike, we do subscribe to the software, so there's an annual fee,
Yes.
right? So I think what we should take a look at from maybe some feedback to the board is, one, what are the costs involved in it? Two, what are the costs for training if we were to get everybody on the system? Three, what is the benefit of doing it if we were to get everybody on the system? Because there's no point paying for software if nobody's using it, obviously, but if it's the ability to streamline, be able to see the pipeline, being able to have a forecast report on the pipeline, that kind of stuff, and if it helps in general workflow and overall efficiency and that type of thing, then I see value in it, but obviously there's got to be need for it and people adopting it. So if we can follow up on some of those, just to find out where people are on it, and what your recommendation would be if it's if it should be adopted by everybody, or and what the costs are associated with doing that and getting everybody trained.
And what I would suggest is maybe we hold off on, so part of this is just reviewing everything tonight
Mhm.
before we take action.
Mhm.
So I think that's one of the actions that comes out in the end. We just
Okay.
have to figure out the priorities on it,
Okay.
because we don't know how much
Yeah, that's true.
work we're
Right
gonna
now, we're
create.
just going through.
But I think it's a
everything.
good point to say, let's evaluate the cost effectiveness of this and are we utilizing it for what we're paying for it. So I think that's a very good point.
Could I,
Sure, Gary.
just a couple questions, for clarity, this is the permitting software that we just purchased, and I believe that they get a fraction of the cost back for operating, is that?
10% surcharge.
That's what we're talking about. All of the building departments are using this, or just the building inspector? Is electric and plumbing also?
Yes, so all,
Okay.
all building permitting.
And so I think one of the things but when we first got this, we talked about other permitting, as you said, as possibly the dog licenses
Mhm.
and that, which I know the chief was just saying that they'd really moved and got a lot of people updated on that, but you don't think he used this or that, huh?
No. I think the clerk has a standalone dog licensing software package. Just like the fire department has a standalone fire-only permitting package.
Online?
It's not online now.
So,
Well,
The fire, you can go online.
yeah,
fire you can go online
yeah.
to
And
apply
apply
for
for it.
But they have their own tracking software. Yeah, once you apply for it, it goes into their tracking software. But it's their own, standalone.
Planning was, I thought, one of the ones that was very excited about this when we were.
They are, they're the ones that drove it, right?
Well,
So
it
Nick-
was when Nick was here.
Yeah.
He was the main push behind it.
Yep.
And then John, when Nick left, it was a John and Nick thing, and I don't know where planning is on it now.
You know, we go through some of these recommendations from the DOR. I mean, there's a bigger issue here, and we just don't have a technology strategy in
Right.
this town. What I'm hearing, we have one-offs here, we have one-offs there. I mean, there's no policy set in terms of what each department will use, whether it's a centralized system, a shared system, or are they allowed to use their own software? I think it's just a bigger issue. We didn't even have any type of, multi-year technology plan that, in terms of capital replacements of, I know we're doing an Outlook upgrade right now, which is,
No, well, actually,
great,
we
but-
do, we just instituted that townwide.
Outlook.
No, I mean, overall technology policy.
Well, yeah, we just did that part of the policy handbook package, or is this something
Well,
that's?
it's a new plan we instituted with with Boston Systems. We were doing a program with the servers. We don't own our servers, we lease them. And now we brought the police into it. We just finished a 3-year lease option, and now we upgraded all our servers, including the police, the 2 town servers, and we got a 5th server just to handle the GIS data. So that they all came online this summer, and now we're instituting we have a program. There's 75 desktop computers within the town administration, from police, fire to planning and everybody in between. And the plan calls for, well, number one, we expanded our Exchange server. We just upgraded. We went from 2003 to 2010, and then we go to 2013. They had to take those steps. With the expanded Exchange server, we had been maxed out at 40 emails. We've now got enough email slots and we'll be.
You say users, you mean 40
Users,
Okay.
yeah. Now we have enough for, probably every committee and committee person in town. Because we weren't in compliance with the, keeping all our emails
Retention.
retention. We'll be able to do that now. But we're also getting basically 25 new desktop computers every year for the next 3 years. And everybody's software will be standardized. And if anybody, no one should be able to add any additional software that hasn't been vetted and approved by our IT people, because that just wasn't the case before. It was a basic free-for-all.
Do we have a way to enforce that?
Yeah, they have security measures on, I think if you try it.
Yeah.
it'll-
There's administrative rights that
Yeah.
protect it now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great, I'd like to see this, just a document that outlines everything that we're doing, because I can say that you're the chief technology officer of our town as well, on top of everything else that you do.
That's pretty bad, too.
Right, so, there's some good recommendations, but we've got, first of all, I commend you on that, because I heard some bits and pieces of that, what's going on. I'm just kind of curious on, it's up to us as well to help you to kind of put a plan together. I look at retaining records still as a big issue in this town, and until now, where it sounds like we're upgrading some servers, it was almost impossible. But there's now cloud-based services that we can subscribe to put all of our records on if we don't do it in-house. And I think that is a huge issue for us to go back to be able to find historical documents. It's a liability issue that we cover right now, and I think it's kind of, from my understanding, I don't think it's as in control as it should be.
So the next one, the revised email policy for retention procedures, does that tie into that whole piece?
Yes.
Good. So put that one right in there after you open the door.
Look at that.
Softball? Was that a
That was
softball?
it. Moving on.
Mush ball.
But first of all, that's great, because IT is the toughest thing to stay up on, especially cost effectively, so putting a plan in place like that is great to hear, especially in terms of the emails and the retention. It's no easy feat. Okay, establish shared email address or a contact all electronic messages.
That's
Part of it.
being done with the new
That's part of it, right?
Exchange server, yes.
Update website content. So recommend the town make it a priority to update the website content. When it first came out, a lot of people posted, a lot of the boards posted to it. Over time, some stuff has become dated. For example, town reports, and other communities' user-friendly and informative websites have proven successful in reducing the amount of time that town employees field questions. So I'll just put out there that almost a lot of businesses, a lot of places, it's hard to keep it. It sounds like a silly, easy thing, but it's actually, I think, a lot of work. And, a lot of businesses that are up to date have dedicated people whose job is to keep it up to date. So, and I know this comes up from, sometimes people are looking for meeting minutes and so forth. Just my thought is, I almost wonder if we need to have 2 declared days a year, or 4 declared days a year that's update day, and you go in and get rid of
4th of July and Christmas.
Maybe, yeah. July 3rd and December 24th, or something. I just want to say it sounds like a simple thing, but you go to most any website and you look at their press releases or their just any business or any site. It's hard it's work. It's like a newsletter. Newsletters are hard to keep up to date too, because the first one's easy and then keeping it going. So I think my suggestion is, rather than a goal of perpetually keeping up to date, which of course we'd want to do according to any codes or requirements that we have, but maybe setting expectations realistically and say, look, at least once a quarter, maybe twice a year even, you know, because we have stuff that's been hanging out there for years. Have an update day and have people update their stuff. So just throw it out there. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Question, do we know who's doing a good job and who's not
I mean, in town or compared to other towns?
in town?
I don't know. Well, I think that might be partially subjective, but I don't know if we know someone whose stuff is more
I mean,
up to date versus
We
others.
can find that out.
Yeah, I guess we can go
I've-
look at it again.
I've heard like that the school building is very slow, school building committee.
They're all posted.
Personally, I wouldn't know whether you're slow or not, so, but.
Now they're all posted, so.
So you've had your update day.
We had our update day.
Well, I
Trust
believe
me,
some
I made sure
people-
there was an update
right.
day going
I
on.
Some
guess-
people post directly, right, and others give it to someone else to post, right? So that's, I think, part of the question, not specific to that committee,
Yeah.
but part of the question is, some people have direct access, and some people, especially some committees, say, well, how do I do this, type of thing. And so that's part of the communication
We only
challenge.
get so many people, so many access, you know,
Right, and you only want so much access to it, too. I
Right.
think.
so that
But
not
wasn't-
everybody can, so not every department can have it, you know, it's like we get 10, I think.
Oh, 10
So-
accesses.
Yeah, so some departments do share access, but, you know, so that gives us a little bit more, but it's also, if you have people who don't know what they're doing, going on, putting stuff on,
Mhm.
it's hard too, because it can mess up what's up there.
Yep.
So do we have, just for as example, for the school building committee, do they have direct access, or do they have a person assigned to them to do an update?
One of the committee members has direct access.
Okay,
to
so
put
there's a
minutes up there.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
So, and again, you have to have the stuff to actually post it, so it's a catch-22. So there's the person with the access, and you actually have to have the materials.
And you're posting ours for Selectmen? You post ours, so those are up.
It's magic, Stu. Just
Those are up
Just
pretty
magic.
regular.
Don't-
No, well, I know we had
don't
this
look behind the
discussion when I
curtain.
was on the, yeah, I know, when I was on the cable committee, you know, because there was talk about maybe having them coordinate being able to manage the website, and, you know, certainly that's something maybe to talk about and see if it makes sense or not, but.
And I think
No.
too, you know, well, again, not to solve the problem, but even if there was a can't find what you're looking for, call, not me, no, call, and that's the problem, figuring out who it would be. But at least, so if someone is frustrated because they're looking for something, I mean, the favorite thing is to do an email blast, right? Claiming the dysfunction of whatever group and put it out there. But I think just a note that says best efforts are made to update. We know it's not always up to date. If you're looking for something, call us so we can, I guess I'm never under the impression that anyone's not updating for a reason other than it's maintenance. It's just tough to do. I don't think anyone's not trying to hide stuff,
Getting
is
to
my
it.
impression, so. But I think you know, the website is a universal tool that people can get so too, and
Do we have any statistics on the usage of our websites?
that's a good question.
Because
I think we can get that through the website, I think,
that would be helpful.
That'd be interesting
It might
to
give
see.
an incentive or disincentive, you know, but.
Yeah,
if-
no, that might be
I
interesting.
mean, I think, well, you know, we also have like, people can send in comments and,
Yeah, but get what kind of traffic, you know, we have on the site.
You can actually
Yeah,
look
we can-
traffic, like who
Yep.
uses the calendar.
Unique.
yeah, I think.
Once
you
every
can-
2
Uniques,
weeks,
You get a
that's
month
me.
and all
I
that.
think, I think
An hour
calendars
before at
use
6,
quite a bit.
5:45. Do I have a meeting tonight?
But they send comments to Mike, and I get comments that just come to the town, and I mean, we get a couple a week, I think. I mean, I get a couple a week, and he gets a couple a week.
It would be-
Just general, you know, comments sometimes from people, so people are looking at it.
Yeah, I believe so. It would be just curious by each of the different departments, how much traffic there is on
Yeah, I
a
don't
particular website
I
that
think-
goes to it. Because
We can get that information from our.
I think it will
what-
share some light. I have no idea if even
That's
people
right.
even go to it.
Okay, that wraps up the technology section, so I think we'll call it quits then, because the next one is finance, and Dave would be heartbroken if we did finance without him.
Why don't we do that?
He's
while
a
he's not
numbers
here?
guy.
Yeah, actually, it might be
Let's get through
faster.
it without him.
Yeah, right.
Just, Billy brought up an interesting question. Do we have any, do they track any statistics on who watches the different meetings? Like how many people are tuned in?
I don't, I don't want to know those statistics.
Where, on,
I don't think
on
it's-
cable?
Yeah.
I don't know. if you
No, I don't think
track
there's any way for them to know that.
Okay.
Chris?
No,
Hello?
again, I assume the cable company knows with two-way boxes now that they can know if someone's on a channel or not. But I'm just curious, just, it'd be an interesting fact, is it 10 or 40 or?
Like
300.
your YouTube, I think, doesn't it put it right up there, I think, how many have gone on?
Yep, on YouTube. But that's YouTube.
Yeah.
Right,
So-
that's.
Oh,
Yeah,
when
we
they
should-
post
we need
it
to
on
know if we
YouTube.
need to put some commercials on and start actually making some money on TV commercials during our meetings,
That's
or not,
right.
if there's enough people watching.
Called underwriting,
That's right.
not commercials.
Okay.
Underwriting.
All right, so another chapter gone through here. Again, the goal is keep going through them, discuss them, and then we're gonna prioritize and decide what actions we wanna take. And I think, just as a follow-up, there was some, discussion in terms of, when we made the decision about the personnel board, other committees and others had discussed it and didn't think it was worthwhile to keep them, other people we heard from did. I think, just to reiterate, that discussion was, there wasn't so much a, we didn't vote to keep the personnel board per se, because I think there was some confusion on that. They're remaining, because we're not putting any bylaws that would change that at this point. But I think what I heard in our discussion was, it's still an open issue, probably not appropriate to bring to a fall town meeting, because it is a government structural change. And some milestones need to be met, and that it probably will come up in discussion again this spring as part of an overall government discussion. So I did want to put that out there, because I thought, some people thought their voices weren't being heard. And I think we did hear everybody's voices, and part of our decision was as much procedural as it was, much more than it was determination that something made sense or didn't make sense. So, not on the agenda, but I remember that. I just wanted to put that out there that says as part of this process, we are evaluating the overall structure and procedures. And that board is still in the mix for discussion as we go forward.
Yeah, I think we had requested that they get the board filled in the next 3 months, right? Was that our 3 to 6
Yeah,
months?
this is gonna come up again. It's up to it's up to them as a committee to get themselves going, and be a functional, active, and deliver some results. So it's gonna be up to them.
Gary might have got names. Chris hasn't given me any names.
Was there,
Chris give you names today of?
No, I mentioned it to him that if the people were still interested, because I noticed that we had some appointments tonight, and Chris was here Chris Rich before the meeting, so I said, we're doing some appointments, and I had made myself a note while going over that we don't have any for the personnel board, and we need to get the letters, I guess, in from whoever is there, so that I believe we as a board could appoint them, correct?
Great.
'Cause that was what we.
Well, it's a appointment. That's what makes it so
Try.
cumbersome.
Keep
Because
trying.
the Finance committee.
Agreed.
And the moderator, all three bodies have to vote in
At
unison.
for all three,
In
for
unison.
each
You
position?
can't vote separately?
They get a vote, the moderator, it's like, this
One-
body gets
one
one
vote.
vote.
Oh, I see.
Okay,
And
Oh.
the FinCom gets one vote, and
And
moderator gets one vote.
for
So,
any of the candidates?
yes.
And that has to be
Okay.
done concurrently together, it can't,
Well, the FinCom would have to meet as a quorum and make their vote, determine who they're voting for, as you would. And the moderator is
You'd
a
have to
quorum
come-
of one.
you'd have to come to one of those meetings and make it public.
Yes.
Okay, well, at this point, we still need people, right? That's the first step before we
Right.
worry about the tri-vote.
Yeah, I
So,
haven't heard from them since we.
okay, so hopefully we get some volunteers and,
Can we follow up with those individuals that had come forward before? You have them?
I just have two, Chris, and there was one other name that he'd given
Okay.
us that I had.
Okay. Was there also, we had also some discussion on, was it, and I think you were gonna run it by council, if the Board of Selectmen can appoint people? Is that,
You're
Part
right.
of our discussion.
Beyond.
I haven't
Yeah.
talked to council about that.
okay.
Okay. Okay. Mike, anything from your perspective that you want to report?
We've been, right now, we have quite a number of different projects going on that we were either in the process of bidding out, or the septic system at the safety center, if you, well, you can't drive behind there because there's a gigantic hole in the ground. That work commenced last Friday. We're coming down the home stretch for the, actually, October 10th is the mandatory pre-bid meeting for the synthetic turf field. That bid document is out, has been published, and we're going to be opening bids next week for the library drainage project.
Okay.
We've had a very impressive number of people pulling plans. One thing we did last spring, Janet installed a electronic bid package on our website. So now we don't do anything with paper. If they want, we post our bids on the website, and they sign in, and they can pick up the bid documents off the website. The only thing they have to do is mail us in a hard copy. We don't take just electronic submissions now. So that's been a big help, especially when we've got 3 or 4 projects in various stages of the bidding process. So it's
Good.
really helped us.
Well, you must be doing a good job, Janet, because you didn't even get a mention in here, so you must be actually utilizing it. You don't require training, you're utilizing the system.
So there's been a lot of activity this summer and fall with those projects.
Gary, do you have a question?
Yeah, question for Mike. You mentioned it as a library drainage, or is this just a work that's going on over there in the Maple Street area that the town is doing, or is this a different project?
It's both. They're doing the whole library square, redoing the sidewalks and the
Yes.
drainage, but because of the time of the year, we want to make sure we get the library drainage that's our number 1 priority right now.
Yes, we had them come before us.
Yeah, because we
Yeah.
don't want them flooding out again this fall and winter. So that, because there's a lot of asphalt work and concrete work, we're gonna have a limited window of opportunity. They technically shut down the asphalt plants November 15th, but it's a week-to-week, weather-to-weather occurrence, really. If we have a mild fall, mild beginning of the winter, sometimes they'll stay open into December, and we can continue doing work, but you can't lay asphalt when it gets below 32. And you can work with concrete, but you have to heat it while it's curing, so that makes it more expensive. But Peter's gonna try to beat the clock and the weather, and at least get the library drainage project done, and then pick up in the spring. They'll leave whatever they do get done in a plowable state, but it'll probably be unfinished until the spring.
I guess my question was, so this is a job that Peter is working on bids, and it's coming out under the road department. I was concerned about
Yes.
funding of that, where you mentioned it as a library project. It's really a roads project, but
Right.
as a town, we're helping out.
Peter's actually utilizing a lot of Chapter 90 money.
Thank you.
He was folding it in, the whole fix in together, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, yeah.
Quick question. Pete and I did a tour of West Street. Is that almost complete now? He said probably by the end of October.
Yeah, I haven't talked to
Mid
him,
to end.
but it
Yeah, a
it
couple
should be
weeks ago when
nearing
I took a look at it.
completion, yeah.
They had some pretty incredible stuff going on up there. So hopefully they'll somewhat drain the swamp, so to speak.
Mhm.
You know, but you know, I took a ride up there with them when we were out here looking at the monument and working on that. You know, a couple of weekends ago. So that's coming along well.
Yep. And speaking of procurement, you all knew last week we were having the procurement seminar, and Gary and Stu attended most of it, if not all of it. And we had an attorney from K&P come in free of charge. They offer group training like that as, you know, as part of the package deal. They'll come in at least once a year and do any kind of training we want or need. And I was really gratified with the attendance. We had
Filled the
most
room.
of these chairs filled. 18 people signed in, and I think there were some others, and there was a really good mix. I mean, the new manager from the water department was there, the new manager
Highway, electric.
from the light department was there. Some of the committee members were there. There were representatives from the school department were there. So it was one of the best attended, you know, non-mandatory trainings we ever had.
That's great.
So I was, you know, very pleased.
So we should-
Put the Munis training in there when they weren't
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
We should expect a 10% decrease in the procurement costs next year, is what
Well,
you're saying. That's
we-
great. You heard that? You just signed up for that.
They're all gonna be on the licensing thing.
Janet and
though.
I are
It's
gonna be
10%.
very much busier with procurement, but that's a good thing, because, you know, as long as we're doing it right. And one thing that the auditors, the financial auditors, started doing was auditing our and everybody else's procurement practices to 30B. Over a certain dollar amount, you have to have a written contract, even though you don't have to have a written bid. And you know, so they just did some spot checking, and they're gonna be, I think that had a lot to do with why a lot of other departments came, because they knew they dodged a bullet this time around, that they didn't get pulled for the audit.
What's the threshold for
Well,
having to have a contract?
it just
minimally?
went up to $10,000. It used to
Okay.
be $5,000.
Okay. So it's double now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then there's various, between 10 and 25, there's certain requirements, and then above 25 to 100,000, there's certain requirements, and above 100,000, there's additional requirements. So it is complex.
And many steps in it.
And many, I mean, we just went over 30B, and there's 149, and there's 3039, and there's chapter 7 too. It depends upon what you're doing. There's different Mass General laws covering it. So it's, unless you're dealing with it all the time, it's like I said, it's
Complicated.
complex.
Yeah.
Excellent, great.
Thank you.
That's it?
That's enough for now.
Just a quick question, the projected timeline for the turf field, are they projecting a completion date at this point?
Yeah, they wanna get in the ground. Well, we're just doing the procurement for the design phase.
Okay, gotcha.
Then the designer will be selected, and then they will do the design and develop all the contract docs, conduct the bidding procedures, and hopefully, select a contractor late winter and get into the ground as soon as possible in the spring, hopefully April. And the actual construction is only gonna take about 90 days. So they're hoping the construction will be done in July. And then, yes, so they can start using the field in the fall.
Fantastic, great.
That's if everything hits right.
Right.
What are the odds?
Hopefully
it
not
will.
good.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
2 more points of business appointments. Requests from the Council on Aging for the appointment of Susan Gardner to the board for a term to expire June 30th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Yes,
much.
we appreciate you coming forward to serve.
And now for an appointment of a man who I believe leads the league for the most boards and participation. And thank you, Jim, for your participation. You do a lot for us. Appointment of, entertain a motion for the appointment of Jim Lacy, FinCom member to the School Building Committee, term to expire June 30th, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Thank you, James.
The next meeting is October 21st at 7 p.m. Right here. And I'll just, any other comments or questions or things that people have? Gary?
Yeah, I something has moved me to go backwards a little bit to thing that came in front of us. It was done back in October 19, 2011, this housing production plan. And I know that we have an affordable housing trust, correct, right now, the 2 selectmen are members of, I believe.
That's correct.
And I was just wondering, updates. I know that we've got Howard now as a part of his duty, I think, works for that. And I just thought maybe we could go over an update, because there were some things I remember in here that I wondered if we should follow up with, and that was on planning. And I didn't know if that Housing Trust was looking at that. I mean, I know that you apply for things on the CPC typically every year. So, I mean, I do know the work is being done, and I just, if that's some, you know, how you're doing your quarterly,
Yeah, I
trying to
think
get
that's a
people
great
come
fit.
in.
So you're looking more to talk about the housing production plan, I mean, the production plan or the affordable housing
Well, where
spin to
we
it, or-
are, and then perhaps in reference to this whole
Okay.
thing that was put forward to us, yeah. And didn't we have a?
Would love to have the opportunity to give you an update
Okay.
on where we are in executing the housing production plan from the Affordable Housing Trust. I'd
It-
love to do that.
Wasn't there one that we're not filling? Was there like also a task force? or
That's actually
something?
full.
It is,
Yeah,
okay.
it is. So the task, I won't generalize here, and we'll get into this, but the task force generally goes out to find projects. They're
Okay.
doing the behind-the-scenes work. And the trust, and then they bring these projects to the trust, and the trust is the body that actually has the ability to fund some of those projects that the Affordable Housing Trust Task Force brings forth.
So we could talk that.
Yeah, we'd be happy to.
Thank you,
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
thank you.
You bet. I think that's good. I think as we think of them, you know, we do want to keep departments or groups coming in front of us and talking. And perchance, it was great to have the Historical Society and group and Ed here tonight, you know, with a special purpose, but it's always good to hear from the different groups. And again, it's not about reporting to us, it's about taking the opportunity to share with the general audience as to what's
Right.
going on.
And give us an update so we know what's
Yeah.
going on.
If I could also, just to let you know, I've attended 2 CPC meetings. They have a heavy agenda, I think, this fall coming up. We're typically 2 meetings a month, and they are right now taking proposals. So if there's anybody out there that's got proposals, there's a deadline. I can't quite remember what the deadline is, but so get them in.
Great.
Mr. Chair, one topic. On recruitment for boards, there was an article in the paper last week, or this last paper run, about openings on the board. It's also posted on the town website. Thank you, Janet, for posting those up there. So if you're interested in serving on a board, there are all the listings on the front page of the town website, on the top, kind of the top right corner where you usually would see events and happenings going on. One question that I have is, would it be possible for us to have that list included in the electric and the water bills? So it goes out, and to the school department, so it goes out and basically hits every resident in town. How do we go about doing that, I guess, is the question.
You want an all-out marketing blitz?
I am looking for an all-out marketing blitz,
I'm
because
with
we
you.
have a ton of boards that are not functioning and are at risk of not functioning, and we definitely need an all-out marketing blitz. I was thinking about it this past week after we were talking about, you know, the personnel board and everything else, and if you guys could look into that for us and let us know what it would take to get it out through the school department, where it goes out in the kids' backpacks and the water and electric bills, I think would be warranted.
Great, thank you. This just in.
I just didn't know if you wanted to mention it.
I
Give
think,
them
sure. So the Georgetown Municipal Light Department is celebrating American Public Power Week. You can join, and I'm assuming this is for the entire public reading this, is join them for an open house to celebrate on Thursday, October 10th, 9 a.m. to noon. Conservation energy saving tips will be handouts will be there. Line crew demonstrations, raffle, coffee and pastries. It says gifts for all. So
Gifts.
that'll be at
Free
the
gifts.
Georgetown
Swag bags.
Municipal Light Department, I believe, and then again Thursday, October 10th, 9 a.m. to noon. Okay, and actually, the other thing I did see here too was, as long as we're doing announcements, is the Halloween Horribles Parade, and we'll have a chance to announce this again at our next meeting, is scheduled for Saturday, October 26th. There'll be a parade and the party at the lawn of the park. The check-in is at 1:30 will be the parade kickoff, and 2 to 4:30 will be the party on the lawn at the park. Sponsored by the Georgetown Fire Department, Georgetown PTA, and Georgetown Parks and Rec. So I think at our next meeting we'll do another reminder on that with some additional detail, but 'tis the season for a lot of celebration activities, so another great one to put on your calendar. Okay, now I'm not going to ask anybody if you have anything else. I'm just going to ask if there's a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you,
Aye.
everybody.